Hello, everybody. This is Jenny Rose. I am the Director of Client Services here at Tempest. Thank you so much for joining us today for our third webinar. We definitely wanted to continue this conversation that we've been having over the past several weeks. We know that the coronavirus COVID-19 event is continuing to unfold. There's a lot of changes happening in different parts of the country, a lot of destinations facing similar challenges, yet really kind of attacking them in their own unique ways. And there's been a lot of really great things that we've seen in the industry. And so we wanted to share some of those stories as well as walk through some of the things that we are seeing on our side with the hopes that we're able to share some really good ideas and tools with all of you that you can continue to use as you continue to respond and evolve your management of this crisis. So to get started, again, my name is Jenny Rose. I am the Director of Client Services here at Tempest. I'm joined today by Adam Hooper, our Director of Web Operations, and Chelsea Cipriani, our Director of Client Success. So some really great experts on the use of your website as well as the CRM system. So we'll be walking through ways that you can really leverage all of your technology to help your ongoing management and response to the coronavirus event. To give you a quick rundown of today's discussion, we're going to go through some marketing and outreach strategies, spark some ideas about how you can be working with your communities to help support your communities through this event. We're also going to be sharing some destination perspectives from our friends in Huntsville, Alabama, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Roswell, Georgia. So we're very excited to hear their perspective. Is my sounding okay? Jen, I saw you said that things are a little breaking up a little bit on your end. Okay, great, perfect. Thanks, Nikki. All right, so and through the conversation, as we can see, you've got the webinar chat where you can use that feature to kind of communicate with fellow attendees as well as panelists. Also, if you have a question during today's discussion, use the Q&A feature. We'll be monitoring that, and as questions pop up, we'll definitely try to answer as many as we can get to. We'll also be recording and sharing today's discussion on our webinar, or on our website rather. So if you want to come back and reference this conversation, that'll definitely be posted as a resource. You can also feel free to share that with your fellow teammates. So starting out, we wanted to acknowledge that obviously today is April Fool's Day, but things are so crazy right now that we're not going to play any pranks or any jokes on anybody here. Just wanted to wish everybody an April Fool's, and you know, just kind of give you all a really big shout out for doing a great job managing a really unprecedented event and working with your communities to support your neighbors and your fellow destination marketers, folks in the travel industry as all of this has been unfolding. So no fooling, we're gonna walk through some positive community stories. These are not April Fool's jokes. Today we are joined by Courtney Ries from the Meet Minneapolis team. She and her team have done a really amazing job putting together a really beautiful video to really elevate their community right now. We've seen a couple communities do this recently, creating some really empowering videos, utilizing not a ton of production, and really kind of what the Minneapolis team has done is taken a couple quick B-roll shots, overlaid that with some really lovely music and some titling effects. It's a really great way to not have to go through a whole video shoot or really long production timeline, but still create some awesome video that can be really empowering and uplifting to your community. Similarly, our friends in Niagara Falls did another great video on their side. They chose to do just one really beautiful shot of Niagara Falls, a couple titling effects and a voiceover with a really nice message from the CEO of their organization, John Percy. So think about, you know, your use of video. If you have team members who have the capability to put something like this together, there's definitely a lot of really great opportunities for you to put together together some really impactful messaging without having to, kind of do it in a really efficient way that's still super impactful for your audience. One of the other things that we've seen is our friends in Berkeley, California have been promoting the Berkeley Relief Fund. Their city contributed $3 million to a campaign to provide assistance to community members that have been really impacted by this event. And they're asking for matching donations from their community. And so far they've raised about $700,000 just in the past few days. So it's definitely really neat to see communities coming together to support each other. Our friends in Discover Schenectady have seen some really great community partnerships pop up over the past couple days. Becky Daniels, the CEO of Schenectady, was on our webinar 2 weeks ago, our last webinar that we hosted. They have a local brewing company called Frog Alley that has pivoted from brewing beer to actually creating hand sanitizer, and they've been donating that to first responders and other workers who are helping the city. So really kind of utilizing their tools and their services to help the frontline workers on their community, which is really incredible to see. Here in Philadelphia, I know that we've talked a lot about restaurants and kind of how small businesses can continue to function with the social distancing and shutdowns that we're seeing across the country and across North America right now. One interesting collaboration here in Philadelphia is this collaboration called Joy Box. It's actually several small businesses, breweries, ice cream producers, kind of local foods that are all coming together to create what they call a Joy Box, which is essentially a customizable care package that is supposed to spark joy. So basically the opportunity for folks to create these customizable packages that are delivered to them on a weekly basis that has been really popular. And I think it's a really neat idea of how you can leverage the power of several businesses at one time to really kind of continue that shop small and support local messaging and give folks the ability to really engage with a lot of different local businesses all in one shot. So obviously, a lot going on really across North America. We're seeing a lot of different opportunities for local communities coming together, sharing ways that neighbors can continue to support each other during this event. But really keeping track of it all and sharing it out can definitely be a challenge. So what we wanted to do today is walk through essentially, what we see from our side is a really good recipe for success, opportunities for you to take certain, systems, technology that you have at your fingertips, making it really easy for you to help elevate your community, share that messaging, and share the love during this time. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to walk through how you can set up some of these systems, how you can make it easy for you to connect with your local business community, and then how you can utilize that to pull in information about what your local businesses are doing, how we can then utilize your tools to drive engagement with your local community, source that information to then update your website content and push that messaging out. So let's start out with setting up these systems. Fundamentally, creating a structure to capture this content in a really efficient way is going to really help you maintain your ability to pivot and adjust as everything continues to unfold. So really, looking at your available tools and thinking about how you can create a content curation system, there's a lot of different opportunities out there. I'm going to turn it over to Adam and Chelsea on our team to kind of walk through some of the things that they've been seeing on their side that are really good opportunities for you to leverage this technology and help do some of the heavy lifting for you.
Thanks, Jenny. We are just going to share a couple of quick things that we actually noticed that our clients have been using and very positively across the board. Large CMOs, smaller ones as well, have really rallied and utilized the platforms, their website platforms, as well as the CRM to come up with solutions that provide a lot of value to the community. One of the easiest ways and quickest ways to do it is if your website has any type of form functionality, you can create it really quick. And the secret with forms, whether it's in this situation or anytime, make them quick and easy to use. If there's too many fields or it's too complex, we're just going to say no thanks. But if you can create a very quick, easy, simple form and allow it, and you can promote it on the website and ask local business community members, et cetera, to post whatever information they have about their business, that's a great way to gather all that information and publish it back on the web. Another quick way is with CRM systems. You can utilize the deals feature of a CRM, or you can also set up a category. So we've got a couple of different screenshots here to walk through. This Aurora, Colorado, excuse me, sorry, apologies. This is a website form that Aurora set up for their dining partners. And it's just a quick, very simple name, address, contact information, and a quick field here to describe what's going on with hours of operation, et cetera. And they take that information and post it back on a dining specific page on their site.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, if whether or not you decide to utilize the CRM extranet, which I know Chelsea has some tips on how we can leverage the CRM system to source this kind of information, definitely would recommend utilizing a website form in tandem with that. Like Adam said, if you want to lean in just into the website form or utilize the CRM and the website form together, having that website form as an option is a really, really good thing. It's a really good way to give folks another avenue that they can use to reach out and connect with you and share the fact that they are open, talk about how they are conducting business during this event. So it's definitely, those website forms are definitely a good thing to look at as a resource to give another touch point to the local business community.
Yeah, definitely. And then as Adam had mentioned, you can utilize the deals within IDSS to push over to your website as well. So this is just kind of a screenshot demonstrating how to get that set up. And then if you had any questions about this, you could contact our support team and we can walk you through it as well. And then, yeah, within the details for your deals, you can customize the content there. So the different sections and different topics and things like that, you could customize that within the detail.
And this is a really great way to leverage your CRM extranet to give the partners a way to actively reach out to you and share their information with you, kind of let you know how, give them an avenue through which they can kind of tell you what they are doing, how they're conducting business. And then if you do have your CRM connected to your website, you can pull that information in to the website and create a really great immersive experience for the visitors that you're capturing. So a really great way to, this is a great example that our friends in St. Augustine are doing, where you can really quickly go to a page and see what businesses are open. Even if they're not offering quote unquote deals, this is a great way for those businesses to communicate that they are open. This is how folks can patronize those businesses and support the local community. Similarly, we've got our friends in Minneapolis who are utilizing this to really showcase who's open for curbside delivery, takeout breakfast, things like that. It's a really great visual way. You can see, you can pair imagery with the individual business, give folks the ability to drill down and see more details about how how they can interact with these businesses and continue to support them as this event continues to unfold.
Yeah, and then as Adam had mentioned as well, another option would be to utilize a COVID-19 category within IDSS, which could push over to the website as well. And then if you go to the next slide, Jenny, you can just kind of see where you would enter the information into the directory, and then you could have a detail as well associated with that category. Or you could use the detail that you are already using, like for that category, which would be beneficial. And what's great about this too is that you can get a head start with the businesses that you know are open within your side of the CRM, but then also at any time your partners could log in and they can enter their information as well.
Yeah, this is a really great this is a really great thing to think about. I know a lot of you have been doing a really amazing job reaching out to businesses in the local communities that you serve, working to source this information. This is a really great way to kind of help streamline that process and give your local businesses the opportunity to actively share that information with you. If their offerings change over time, depending on kind of how the laws in your particular community and whether or not you're under a stay-at-home order or non-essential businesses are all closed, depending on kind of what the unique instances are in your community. This is a really great way to interface with your local businesses and give them the ability to share that information really quickly with you, that you can then have these systems in place, which also lays the foundation for a really quick pivot when we ultimately eventually get to the recovery phase. So as businesses continue to evolve, when we hopefully sooner rather than later start to get back to normal, as businesses come back online and start kind of conducting business in a more traditional manner, they can continue to update this information through the extranet and continue to share that information in a really proactive way. Now, if you have any questions about how to do this, how to get this set up, accomplished, Chelsea and Adam are available. Our support teams are here to help you. So if you're interested in laying this foundation, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support teams. We're here to help you, and we can help you navigate what solution is going to be the best, depending on your technology setup that you have. So once you have that set up, all set up, you're ready to go. Obviously, we need to let the partners know that this is a resource. So we definitely want to be sharing the fact that you are a local resource with the partners, making sure that the local business community is aware of these tools that you are creating for them, and how you're going to be leveraging that. So really, there's a lot of different ways that you can communicate this, but importantly, like really the biggest things to remember is we need to be telling our local businesses that this resource exists and let them know how you are using the information, and then consistently following up. We don't want to like overload them with messaging, but continually reaching out, just letting them know that you are here, you're available as a resource. This is a great opportunity for them to market their business and share the fact that they are open with the community, and just let them know that you're here for them. Courtney and her team at Meet Minneapolis did a really amazing job of this. They sent this email out to their partnership a couple days ago. And this really stood out to us because it's a really great example of how you can articulate the type of information that you're looking for. In the Meet Minneapolis case, they are utilizing deals in the extranet to source this information. But they did a really great job of letting folks know what type of information they're looking for. They're not looking for literal deals, literal, 20% off or whatnot. They're looking for, if you're offering no contact delivery, gift cards, so on and so forth. Utilizing this as an opportunity to communicate the ideas of what type of content you're looking for and how they can utilize this resource to share that information with you, so that you can then turn around and get that up on your website and share that with your audience. Our friends in Visit Sedona have been doing a really amazing job as well. They've been sending messages to their partnership almost daily. Sedona is, not only are they a tourism bureau, they're also a chamber of commerce. So they've been doing a lot of really great messaging around the resources that are available out there, small business loans, webinars, things like that. They've been updating their partnership on changing mandates for their communities and just kind of helping partners navigate this evolving situation, and really positioning themselves as a fantastic resource that the business community can rely on as they're trying to wrap their heads around exactly how to navigate this changing situation. And Chelsea, I know you and I have been talking a lot about about making sure that the distribution list, if you're using the CRM email system to reach out to partners, just making sure that we're capturing all of the partners and we've got those lists are updated. So how can folks use some of the tools in the CRM to make sure that they've got a comprehensive list?
Yeah, definitely. So within IDSS, you have your queries and reports. And within the queries, there are some helpful ones, especially if you want to make sure that your distribution lists are clean and up to date. This is a great way to do that. So if you were to go to the contacts active query for just one example, you can set your criteria for the list. And then you can click preview. And then on the next slide, you'll see a little icon will pop up at the top to create a distribution list or to add to a distribution list. And that's really helpful in creating a new, clean, fresh, up-to-date list. And then just a side note, you can also create tasks off of some of these queries as well. So when you create a query and you wanted just a certain task to be within each of those results that you pulled up, whether contacts or accounts, you can do that from the queries too.
Perfect. Thanks, Chelsea. And then as you're, working with your community to source this information, you're seeing your partners engaging with you. They're sharing information about how they are conducting business. And then you're turning around and sharing that with your community. Obviously, updating that content is going to be a really important part of our ongoing communication during this event. We definitely recommend and encourage you to update your content at least once daily, making sure that you're staying on top of everything that is changing in your community. That's going to establish trust with your audience and authority in your community, showcase that you are offering timely, helpful information. Another really great idea from our content team is to utilize timestamps. So adding in a brief snippet of content at the top of the page, letting folks know that this has been updated, on April 1st, April 2nd, so on and so forth, kind of reinforcing the idea that you're checking back frequently and keeping this content up to date. And obviously, with the systems that we've been talking about, a lot of that can be managed through the technology. So if you do have your CRM data tied to your content pieces on your website, that's going to update twice daily. The time will vary depending on kind of how your unique systems are set up. If you have any questions about how that is set up to feed your website content, feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of walk you through that. But leaning on the CRM as a tool definitely gives you the ability to dynamically do this, and so that you can focus on updating other portions of the content that can't be pulled in from the CRM. Again, Minneapolis has been doing a really great job of not only keeping their content up to date, but building out an entire network of content to address different needs. So what businesses are not only open for business and how folks can support each other and shop small, but also organizations that are open and helping the community. So providing a lot of really fantastic resources, ways that folks can safely practice social distancing in the community. Our friends in Colorado Springs have also been actively reaching out to, to kind of continue helping that content update process. And when you're looking at the content that's being updated, look obviously at the website content that you're actively managing, but also look at your partners. So what are your partners putting out there? In this case, with this email that Colorado Springs sent out to their partnership, they're giving some recommendations and advice on how local businesses can update their own messaging, so we can help our partners navigate this as well, so that they can stay relevant and share important information. Something we definitely wanted to let you all know. So we've been seeing, as we're working on messaging during this time, it's very important for us and also local businesses to be not only updating content really frequently and reminding partners about evolving that content as you're staying in constant communication with them, but also be very careful about how you are messaging with coronavirus and COVID-19 content. We have been seeing recently that Google technology right now is very, very sensitive to coronavirus information. Generally speaking, in the travel industry, we are sharing very helpful information. It's important that we are getting out there, but just be mindful of the fact that Google is actively trying to block profiteering off of the coronavirus event. So they are going through and disapproving and blocking any advertising or messaging that they are seeing that looks salesy. So it's something to be mindful of. We haven't really been seeing this impact destinations too much, but it's something to potentially keep an eye out for your partners, so that they can be mindful of, making sure that they're not violating Google's rules and the things that advertising networks are putting out there. So it's a good thing to share with your partners, letting them know to be sensitive to this. Definitely communicate what they are doing during this event to support each other, support the community, support their customers, but just be very careful about making sure that you're clear that you're not trying to profiteer off of this event. So taking a look at, now we've got all this content, we're continually updating and sharing it. We're continually creating new content. How do we get it out there and share those resources with the community? I feel like this is basically a selfie of me at this point. With all the different devices where, for the most part, a lot of us are kind of stuck inside. We definitely have a captive audience right now. When this event really started, we saw a really huge boost, obviously, in the amount of people who are connecting through technology. Messaging on Facebook and Instagram jumped 50% a couple weeks ago when all of this started. I saw a quote from Mark Zuckerberg saying that they were just trying to keep the lights on. They had that much activity on their social media platforms. Streaming giants like Netflix are seeing surges in traffic, which makes sense. Our audience is stuck inside. They're online. They're looking for ways to escape and kind of get out of, their headspace that they're in right now. So there are a lot of opportunities for us to connect with an audience and get our message out there. Now, we know that a lot of us can't advertise right now, and that is absolutely okay. But there's a lot of ways that you can get your message out that doesn't require a paid media budget behind it. Obviously, posting on social media, sharing content with your community is a great way to do that. Emailing your general list, your general leisure audience is a great way as well. You've got these folks who have said that they want to hear from you and they are interested in your destination. So that's a great way to continue to engage with your audience and lean on your network as well. So on the email marketing end, Colorado Springs did a really great job blasting their entire leisure list with ways that folks can get that Colorado Springs experience from home. So they're sharing virtual experience, home fitness, ways that they can support the community from afar, finding your Zen. So really utilizing the owned database that they have through their email list to continue that conversation with folks who are looking for that escape. Visit Roswell has got a really amazing press mention with one of their local publications. Andy's joining us today, the CEO of Visit Roswell, and he's going to talk about this a little bit more, but he and his staff have been doing a great job curating all of the different restaurants that are offering, that are still open and offering, pickup and delivery, things like that. They actually got a press mention in Roswell magazine. So, you've got a really great network of publishers out there that through the marketing that you've done. So who can we call on and what can we do from a PR perspective to get those press mentions and help elevate our message? And then if you do have the ability and the flexibility to do some advertising around this, we're definitely seeing some really amazing results with certain types of advertising right now. We have a programmatic trading desk here at Tempest that we've been leveraging for ongoing messaging around this event. This is a list of some of the audiences that we're using right now that are giving us the ability to capture folks locally who are looking for ways to support their neighbors. So folks who are audiences modeling around community and social services, emergency and other relief services. We're actually leaning into these advertising lists and these audience lists for Huntsville, Alabama. And we're utilizing these to target locals, and we're seeing click-through rates that are 10 times higher than the normal click-through rates that we see in a standard travel marketing campaign. And a quarter of the campaign traffic that is coming to the website is resulting in a direct link to partner websites. So this is being hugely impactful for the Huntsville community, getting the message out there, helping neighbors find ways that they can support local businesses. And then if you remember, we talked about the fact that, you know, streaming services are overloaded right now. Tons of people are watching, they're glued to the TV, they're looking at ways that they can consume content. And there is the ability to purchase advanced TV advertising. So basically, you know, at the beginning of this discussion, when we talked about those really beautiful videos, you can utilize advanced TV as a way to inject your those video messages into streaming services like Hulu, CBS, the NBC app, so that when folks are consuming this content, you can be showing essentially a commercial to your local audience to let them know that you're here, you're putting these resources out to support folks, and get the message out in that way as well. Ultimately, you know, you are the experts at what makes your community special, and you're also the experts in marketing. So this is a really fantastic, you know, opportunity to help support the community by leveraging your expertise. So kind of using your creativity, using the systems that you have at your disposal to really support the community and continue to help as this event continues to unfold. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Kristen Pepper. She is the marketing director at the Huntsville Madison County CVB. Kristen, how are things going down there? I know that we've been working really closely together, you and I, on you know, adjusting messaging and pivoting for your community. What are you hearing on your side?
Yeah, hey everybody, and thank you, Jenny. You know, things are different here in Huntsville, as I'm sure lots of destinations are experiencing. It's really weird thinking about how quickly things changed. You know, once we started hearing the news and realizing the effect that this was going to have on our community and on our industry, I remember, you know, one day I was talking to the marketing director for the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, which is our, you know, largest attraction. And, you know, the word that day was, oh, you know, we are open for business. It's business as usual. And then the very next day, you know, they announced that they were closing to the public for a month. And so very quickly, Jenny and your whole team at Tempest, you know, so quickly were able to pivot to our normal messaging, our normal advertising, to more local centric, community focused messaging, which thankfully for Huntsville, I think we're used to communicating with our locals. One of the largest campaigns that we do every year is essentially focused on local engagement. So I think our locals luckily are used to getting their information from us, engaging with us, and so we're lucky in that aspect. But yeah, I think the biggest value that we've provided so far, and what we've been hearing from our partners and from locals, is the fact that we are that one-stop shop. So there's lots of information coming from lots of different directions, and so the value that I think we provide is being able to comb through all of that and siphon through all of that and collect what we think is most valuable to each of our different audiences, and kind of having that all in one place. So we've created resource pages, much like, you know, a lot of other DMOs. We have a dedicated page for our industry partners, a page, of course, for our visitors, so they can see what's happening, you know, health advisories, travel restrictions, all of that as that continues to evolve. And then also the community page, because, you know, our locals, they love Huntsville, and we have a lot of civic pride. And so, yeah, I think we're lucky to have that engagement. And I think people, right from the beginning, the first question was, what can we do? I think as a CVB, you know, we obviously, you know, our goal is to bring in visitors, but really what we really do is we provide economic value to the city. So with visitors not traveling and for that, for the time being kind of out of play, our first thought was, okay, well, now let's talk to the locals, because that's where we can continue to provide that economic value to the city and to our partners. So yeah, we've seen a lot of engagement. We continue to get questions from locals about what's the latest update. I think one thing that I see other DMOs, I think maybe one mistake, if I could say, is overestimating the amount of knowledge that your locals have. So we sometimes as a DMO have the tendency to think that, oh, of course our locals know what's in our community, and of course they know what we have to offer as a destination, but a lot of times that may not be the case. So I think educating our locals about what there is, what we have to offer, and ways that they can help has been very valuable to our local audience.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Kristen. And apologies, everybody, for my dog who got very suspicious of a noise that she heard outside. She's keeping me safe. Excellent. Yeah, she's a good girl. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. Really appreciate it. We are going to move on to Courtney Ries, who is the Senior Vice President of Destination Branding and Strategy at Meet Minneapolis. Courtney, I know you had some things that you wanted to share on your side, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share so that you can share your screen.
Sounds great. Thank you. So like everybody else, we quickly pivoted to what we were sharing. The biggest thing for us really has been emphasis on communications across all of the different stakeholder audiences, seemingly all at once. So while that frequency of communication has slowed, we still do see high open rates and click rates through all the communications that we have. So that's one of the things that I'll show out. I wanted to show just a couple of examples of the way that we were able to work and kind of call out the resources. So we do have a button that we created on our website that does kind of flag support our community that carries through, as well as adding a COVID-19 resources page on our home site. We were also, through this support the community, able to kind of pull up this gathering section. This for us, with so many things being created and so many great resources. Obviously, we are a large city. There's a lot of media publications, and they're all trying to provide value to their readers and to our local community as well. So we both created our own content, but also served as an aggregator for other content that is relevant to our various stakeholder audiences. So we picked up with the We Got This MPLS hashtag. This is the video that we were talking about earlier, and these are some of the resources that we were talking about. So it's a mix of being able to pull in information as well as create or spin some of our own content. Some of the information, which many of you have probably also seen within your own communities, is that the social distancing opportunities with outdoors and improved weather is wonderful, but also the parks potentially being overloaded. So that is something that we actually added as a flag to our articles as well, reminding people to stay safe on the trails, things of that nature. We also pulled in a CrowdRiff gallery for those of you that do work with CrowdRiff that highlight the various things that our community is doing, both partners and non-partners. This was really, again, important for us to be able to show and visually depict that things were still going on in the city. There are opportunities for people to engage, and it also allowed us to highlight in a visual fashion some of the things that, that are happening around town, as well as highlighting them obviously on our social media channels. This is one of the articles that I wanted to talk about as it relates to trying to do some of that link out. So again, some of it is around food and information. Here are some of the best lists that we have found, some of the other tips, some of the other content that we're able to cross-purpose and cross-reference, as well as provide some information that kind of links out to some of the other neat things that are happening. So this is something that we've seen a lot of traction on. It allows us to support small businesses. It also allows us to talk about what's going on in the community and allows us to repurpose our content in some different forms and fashions. So we didn't have to create everything from scratch. We do have some more of the cut and dry information too. That's the localized summary information as it relates to our destination, with such a patchwork of stay-at-home orders, shelter-in-place orders, lockdown orders, no guidelines at all, general social distancing. We know that it's really important for people, especially meeting planners, and then even our own teams, to be able to see the information that is coming out. We also did realize that a lot of this came from our partners themselves. So kudos to Jen Shaw, who's on this call, and our director of partnership. Her and her team called all of our 700 partners, talking to them, asking about what they needed. And one of the things that really came from it was kind of this resource guide, information and request, really looking for ideas and tips and tricks and clarifications as it related to both their own business as well as what we were seeing on a national landscape. And then finally, this is, again, the deals page that was showed before. Shout out to Tempest too for some of their continued response. I know that they are helping us and making some back end changes so that we'll be able to even kind of take this quickly started up thing and be able to turn it into an even more robust resource by breaking it out by category, so that we'll be able to continue to keep it up to date and maintain it. And then people can also see what they're looking for in a relatively quick fashion, because we know that people are going to be reading a lot, consuming a lot of content. So finally, I wanted to just provide an example. We did do very frequent communication to our partners, and we have pared some of that back. When information was changing so quickly, it felt that we needed to do something multiple times a week, but now we are trying to pull that into once or twice a week. So this is an example of how we're able to repurpose this. We're able to highlight kind of the information and resources. We do have an upcoming event where we'll be highlighting tips and tricks that people can change with their Google profile, because we know that that's something that is very relevant and actionable for our partners. We want to make sure that some of this content isn't all doom and gloom, but we're able to show how we're being supportive resource. Again, call out looking for folks' deals, the information that we provide, hotel, and then updated event cancellation, particularly as it relates to new or notable. The situation that we have in Minneapolis right now is that the governor has a stay at home order, which is through the middle of the month, and then a suggested additional 3 weeks of social distancing, which would then align more or less with what the federal government, CDC, is recommending. We do know that that is likely to change and shift and evolve. And some of that our groups are booking that are even outside of that window are booking or are moving their events. So we do know that we have certain partners that are already looking months ahead and saying, okay, well, I'm going to potentially look to bring back staff in August for this really big event. And if that really big event is looking like it's going to be moved or postponed, then it's something that they want to be knowing and thinking about now as they're doing their own planning. So that's some of the information that I have from Minneapolis, and I will kick it back over to Jenny.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Courtney. Yeah, it's definitely been really inspiring to see how you and the team have been working together to really elevate your community and share out all of that information, and being such a great resource for your local businesses. It's fantastic that you've been calling 700 partners. That's amazing. Nice work, Jen, and your team. That's fantastic. And somebody else that I know has been spending a lot of time on the phone with partners is Andy Williams, the CEO of Visit Roswell down in Georgia. Andy, how have your conversations with partners been going, and how are you leveraging the information that you're gleaning to help support your local business community?
I would say the conversations with all of our partners, they are going relatively well. Business obviously is down and they're having to make major adjustments. And, we know particularly with the restaurants that they're struggling a bit, but, they're doing some pretty creative things too. And just to give everybody some background, Roswell's a suburb of Atlanta. We're about 20 miles north of downtown Atlanta. We've got a population of around 96,000 people. And more often than not, though, even with that population size, we're really compared to more of a small town, having a small town feel, kind of like that Main Street America aesthetic. And our primary hotel makeup is actually limited service. So we see more on the leisure side than we do, like downtown Atlanta does with the heavy convention market and some of those larger hotels. So for us, we sat down originally when we saw all of this coming down the pike, and we sat down as a team and really just kind of leveled the playing field and said, okay, this is not going to be pretty. We are all going to have to roll up our sleeves and do things that are not sexy, like we would prefer to do. It's not going to be a fun couple of months, but what this is going to show our partners is that we have their backs. And I think that's the big opportunity for CVBs around the country right now, is to really stand out and be a leader and let their partners know that when things get tough, you're going to be the CVB or the DMO there to weather the storm with them, so that when we do come out of this on the other side, they're going to know that you were there for them, and that relationship's going to be even stronger than hopefully it already is with you and your partners. So we sat down and had very real conversations. We immediately made a list of who it is important to support. We are an extremely restaurant-centric destination. We've got about 300 partners, and gosh, probably 200 of those are restaurants. So for a small town, we have a lot to offer in the culinary scene. And, obviously that's one of the hardest industries that's getting hit right now. So we started off and said, we know that we've got to focus not only on the hotels, but really on the restaurants, then on the retail side of things, and with other partner organizations. So we developed really what we called the restaurant list, which is, it highlights all of the restaurants offering curbside pickup, to-go options, and then those who have, even unconventionally started offering delivery options. And that was our first step into the community to be extremely visible and to be a leader. And, right now, I think that list has about 150 on it, if I had to guess, but it really allowed us to offer consistent messaging to the community. The list is updated daily. Our restaurants are changing hours daily. Some are, closing down. Some are actually opening back up and coming online. So it is a lot of, what I'll call grunt work. And it's been a lot of work for the team. They've done an amazing job of keeping up with it. But what it's showing our partners is that, hey, we took a risk and addressed this head on, and we are bending over backwards to make things happen for them. And I would say too, people are a little bit on edge right now. People are scared. So in our opinion, it's all about convenience. So anything you can do to message to the community to make things as easy as possible, the better. So for example, we took the restaurant list, and then we began linking each individual restaurant to the respective restaurant's Facebook page, because that's really where all the content's being updated on their end. So making those things easier has been very beneficial for us. And another thing too is the actual, I think, the pivot from out of market marketing to focusing so much on local. And I know there's a bit of hesitation there, because we're funded by the hotel motel tax, the lodging tax, and it's kind of like, whoa, this is not really what we're supposed to be doing. For us, that was a very easy decision to make, because if our restaurants and some of our other partners and businesses are not here by the time we get through this, then our product has essentially weakened, in my opinion. So we have an obligation, I think, to the community to weather this storm with the partners, and to make sure, I forget who said it, it might've been Courtney, that locals sometimes don't know as much as they think they know. So we have a responsibility to educate, and we're finding that out. And that restaurant list for us it really spawned other opportunities. It gained a lot of traction. And from that, we were able to start doing a lot of different interviews with people who said, hey, tell me more about what you guys are doing. What else are you doing to support the community? So a lot of different video interviews, webinars such as this. So it's really opened up that opportunity for us to be much more visible and to be a leader in the community. And what you have to think too is that a lot of the other leaders in the community, especially the elected officials and people that fall within city staff and things like that, they've got a lot of other things on their mind as this is coming down the pike. So this is really a good opportunity from both the marketing and even the sales side to to allow bureaus to step up and be a leader, and to especially to define role clarity and to eliminate role ambiguity. Make sure there are defined expectations each day. We've been doing daily staff calls, like many of you I'm sure are. So just being on the same page, I can tell you, I have never called, texted, emailed so many people throughout the day, and just tracking numbers, comparing what sales were like on Friday of this past week compared to the Friday previously. And so I think that also shows partners too that that you're in it with them, that you are strongly looking at the data, so that when those things are being able to be communicated, they're being communicated accurately. And when you're doing things like conducting interviews and sharing that information with your board of directors and stakeholders, it shows them also that you're keeping up with it. And then, one of the things too, I would say is we have a big opportunity to lead the conversation on what this looks like in recovery. We have a responsibility, I think, to get everybody prepared for change. I think a lot of us are just trying to figure out how to get through, if you're on a fiscal year like us, to get through the remainder of the year. But man, we know this is going to affect us for the next year at least. It's going to affect our budget, certainly. So what are those creative things we can do to continue to promote? What can we do to continue to promote more inexpensively in some cases? And how is this impacting and affecting businesses who are now having to evolve? And I think everybody's kind of said business is not going to look the same. The hospitality and tourism industry is not going to look the same when we come out of this. So I view that as an opportunity to enhance our product, enhance the way we do business, and especially for us to communicate in better ways moving forward. And like many of you, we're starting to see a lot of our organizations that are really thinking outside of the box. So our Chattahoochee Nature Center, which does an amazing job, they've got about 150 acres near our Chattahoochee River. For example, one of their big fundraisers was a plant sale. So obviously they weren't able to have that happen. So they took it online, and everything's done online. They had a 5 and a 10K that they actually made virtual, where you would actually go out and run your own course that you selected and then submit your time. So one of our brew pubs noticed that getting certain meats and veggies was becoming more difficult in the grocery store. So they used their partnership, I believe, with US Foods. And every Tuesday and Friday, they do these drive-through farmers market boxes where you can pull up to the curb. They'll load a box into your car. It's $25, and you're loaded down with the veggies and things like that. So I would just encourage everybody to really kind of hyper focus on what are the creative things that people in your community, your partners, are doing, and using those as opportunities, not only to promote what they're doing right now, but also to gin up interest and keep them on the radar for when things do come back to normal, getting people excited about visiting those businesses and those organizations in the next few months, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that drive-through farmers market idea. That's fantastic. So we've been monitoring the chat and the Q&A. Susan Cantrell from Visit Kansas City, I know you had a question about for customers who aren't using a Tempest website, but are using the IDSS CRM system. How can you still utilize some of the tools that we're talking about? Chelsea, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So as long as the API is feeding to your website from IDSS, we can definitely work with your web vendor to get these going to the right places. But in your case, within IDSS, you are already using deals. So this should be really easy to get them up onto the website. And then if we wanted to get into any more detail or make it a bit more creative, we can definitely work with your web team as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. And thank you, Susan, for that question. I think so far we haven't seen any others, but we do have a couple more announcements. So if there's any other folks who want to ask a question, we'll definitely have some additional time to discuss. So for those of you who have not heard, Tourism Academy, which is our client conference, it was scheduled for mid-May this year in Philadelphia. We have actually rescheduled that to next year. So it'll be the last week of March of next year. It's one of those things where we've been thinking a lot about what to do with Tourism Academy and the best way to serve our delegates. We've been having a lot of conversations with many of our clients about how to navigate this, this event in light of what's happening with our industry right now. Fundamentally, we are very, very it's very important to us to have the face-to-face interactions of Tourism Academy. That's part of what makes this event so special and so impactful. So we really didn't want to go in the direction of having a virtual event. So what we've decided to do is we've worked with our hotel and venue partners as well as the Philadelphia CVB. They've been a great source of support through this, and ultimately made the decision to reschedule for next year. So the event will now be held March 30th through April 1st, 2021, literally a year from today. I hope to see all of you there. Just so you are aware, our team is going to be reaching out to contact everyone who has registered so far, to work through the process of, whether or not you want to, continue to utilize your registration for next year. So yeah, we definitely will be reaching out. Expect to see some communication from our team over the next couple of days if you haven't already. But we just wanted to let you know that that Tourism Academy has been rescheduled, and we definitely are looking forward to seeing all of you in lovely Philadelphia next year. And fundamentally, we are absolutely here for you. We're going to be continuing to have these webinars. We've been really thankful to have the participation of all of the destinations, both those folks tuning into these webinars as well as those who are participating. Thank you so much, Kristen, Courtney, and Andy for joining us today. Our next webinar is going to be a week from today, so April 8th at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so same day, same time. We are going to be doing a deep dive into the IDSS Publish feature, so Chelsea and her team are going to be talking about that. This is one of the new features of the IDSS CRM system that we were planning on unveiling at Tourism Academy. Since we don't have the opportunity to share these new features with you at the event this year, we're going to be utilizing webinars and virtual communication to roll these out to you so that you understand some of the new things that we're doing to continue to build upon and enhance the CRM system. And then, of course, our support teams are here for you. If you need anything, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our CRM experts can be reached at support@idss.com. Our web experts can be reached at support@tempest.im. And Brett, I saw your question about whether or not we're going to be sending this webinar. Yes, we are recording the webinar right now. We are going to be uploading that on our community updates and resources page on our website at tempest.im. So we'll let you know once that is up and running. You can tune back. You can expect to see that up on our website later on this afternoon. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to join us. Thanks again to our panelists for joining us today in this conversation. It's wonderful to see how all of you are coming together to support your communities. I know that the past couple weeks have been very difficult, but keep up the good work. Your work is incredibly important and impactful, and we are here to support you every step of the way. So please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help. And have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.